Welcome to the Sleepy Underworld, a place where romance blooms, magic sparkles, and timeless fairy tales are reimagined for the dreamers of today. From heart-stirring romances to spellbinding adventures, every story is a soothing escape into a realm of love, wonder, and charm. So curl up, press play, and let us carry you away to the land of dreams. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. We'd love to know in what part of the world you are watching and what is your favorite tip for a good night's sleep. Thank you for watching and enjoy the video. The Sweetest Wish. The scent of caramelized sugar and warm vanilla beckoned me through the rain-soaked evening, a lighthouse of sweetness guiding me through Everhaven's dimly lit streets. My worn shoes splashed through puddles that reflected the golden glow from Clayton's candy shop, the storefront's beveled glass windows glowing like amber in the storm. The elegant cursive letters of the shop's sign danced and shimmered, the fat droplets of rain catching the light like suspended diamonds. My fingers traced the damp golden wrapper I'd found earlier that day, one of Mr. Clayton's legendary peppermints, discovered in a rain-slicked alley behind the shop. The metallic paper felt unusually warm against my skin, despite the bitter chill of the autumn evening. Thunder rolled overhead, and I pressed closer to the window, my breath fogging the glass as I gazed at the wonderland. Crystal jars lined mahogany shelves, each filled with confections that defied natural law. Candies that glowed like captured fireflies cast shifting patterns across polished brass fixtures. Chocolate truffles hummed a gentle lullaby, their dark shells gleaming with iridescent swirls. Rainbow-hued lollipops pirouetted slowly in their display case, though no breeze stirred the air. My stomach clenched at the sight, reminding me of the empty cupboards waiting at home. The door swung open with a melodious chime, releasing a wave of warmth that carried the mingled aromas of melted chocolate, spun sugar, and something indefinable, like the first snow of winter mixed with the last ray of summer sunset. I hesitated momentarily before stepping inside, telling myself I'd only warm up for a few minutes before continuing my search for dropped coins or discarded returnable bottles. The shop's interior stretched impossibly beyond what its modest exterior suggested. Crystal chandeliers floated overhead without visible support, their faceted surfaces throwing kaleidoscope patterns across the hardwood floors. The air felt thick with magic, and I tasted possibilities and dreams on my tongue. I crept toward the back of the shop, drawn to a particular jar that appeared to contain liquid starlight. The silvery substance within swirled of its own accord, casting moving constellations across my rain-dampened face. The low light caught the hollows of my cheeks, reminding me of how long it had been since my last proper meal. "Ah, I see you've discovered my midnight dream drops," a gentle voice said behind me, warm as honey and smooth as melted chocolate. I spun around to find a tall man watching me, his silver-streaked hair swept back from a kind face lined with laugh wrinkles. His burgundy velvet coat sparkled with what appeared to be crystallized sugar, and a collection of golden candy-making tools hung from an intricately designed leather belt at his waist. "Mr. Clayton," I whispered, the wrapper crinkling in my clenched fist. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't be here." His smile deepened the wrinkles around his eyes, which held the same warm amber color as his shop's windows. "On the contrary, my dear, no one finds their way into my shop by accident, especially not on a night like this." He gestured to the wrapper in my hand. "And it seems you've already received an invitation." "An invitation?" "Indeed." He produced an identical candy from his pocket, its golden wrapper catching the light like a fallen star. "My golden peppermints are very particular about who finds them. They only appear to those with the sweetest wishes in their hearts." The candy pulsed with its own inner light as he held it out to me. "Go on," he encouraged, his voice soft as velvet. "Make your wish." My fingers trembled as I accepted the candy. Its wrapper felt warm and almost alive, like holding a tiny beating heart. I closed my eyes, thinking of home, of my little sister Emma's hollow cheeks and my mother's exhausted eyes as she worked endless shifts at the diner. I thought of our drafty apartment with its leaking roof, the empty pantry, and the heating that worked only when it chose to. "I wish," I whispered, the words carrying the weight of years of quiet desperation. "I wish I could help my family have enough. A warm home, food on the table, and..." I swallowed past the lump in my throat. "And maybe just a little bit of magic to make them smile again." The peppermint melted on my tongue like a snowflake, flooding my mouth with impossible flavors. The crispness of winter mornings, the warmth of summer twilight, the sweetness of fresh hope, and something indefinable that made my heart ache with longing. When I opened my eyes, the shop had transformed. The walls had dissolved into swirling mist the color of mother of pearl, revealing a vast space that laughed at the laws of physics. A golden archway beckoned, beyond which I glimpsed wonders that made my breath catch. Trees with cotton candy leaves in pastel hues, a river that flowed with liquid rainbows, catching the light like precious gems, and clouds that rained tiny candies that chimed like bells as they fell. "Welcome to my workshop," Mr. Clayton said, his eyes twinkling like stars in spun sugar, though perhaps not for much longer. Before I could question his cryptic statement, the shop's bell chimed. 3 more people entered, shaking off the storm's remnants. A young woman in designer clothes wrinkled her nose at the sight of my shabby jacket, her leather boots worth more than everything I owned. Beside her, a man with wild Einstein-like hair pulled curious gadgets from his numerous pockets, each whirring and clicking with mysterious purpose. The third arrival was a young woman seemingly attempting to fold herself into invisibility, her paint-stained fingers clutching a weathered sketchbook. "Excellent, we're all here," Mr. Clayton declared, clapping his hands together. "Miss Victoria Chase," he nodded to the wealthy woman, "Mr. Edison Wright." The inventor gave a distracted wave, still examining a nearby display of floating jelly beans. "Miss Penny Lang," the artist jumped at being addressed, and of course, Nora Thompson. His warm smile wrapped around me like a blanket. "Welcome to your trial." "Trial?" Victoria's voice cut through the air like a knife through hard candy. "I was promised exclusive access to your secret recipes." "You were promised an opportunity," Mr. Clayton corrected firmly. "All of you were drawn here by my golden peppermints, each with a wish burning in your heart. But wishes, like candy, require the right ingredients to come true." He led us through the golden archway into a realm that defied imagination. The air itself tasted of a sweetness filled with floating bubbles that burst with different flavors when touched. One moment strawberry fields in summer, the next cool peppermint caves. Butterflies with wings of spun sugar fluttered past, leaving trails of edible glitter in their wake. Our first stop was a vast chamber that stretched to a ceiling lost in shadows. Mountains of treasure filled the space. Gold coins that clinked musically, gems that caught the light like hard candy, and artifacts that practically hummed with power. Victoria's eyes blazed with desire. "The Vault of Values," Mr. Clayton announced, his voice echoing off precious metals and crystalline formations. "Feel free to take whatever you wish, but remember, everything has a price." Victoria rushed forward, her designer heels clicking against the golden floor. With each handful of treasure she scooped up, her expensive clothes transformed. Silk became cotton, then burlap, then rags. Her perfectly styled hair dulled and tangled, and her manicured nails cracked and broke. Soon she stood in tatters, clutching her prizes as tears cut tracks through the dirt on her face. "I don't understand," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Value isn't always what it appears to be," I said softly, offering her my worn but clean handkerchief. "Sometimes the most precious things can't be held at all." Victoria stared at me, seeing me for the first time. Slowly, she opened her hands, letting the gold cascade to the floor. As the last coin fell, her appearance restored itself, though her eyes held a new wisdom that hadn't been there before. The next chamber housed an enormous candy-making machine that resembled something from a steampunk fever dream. Brass pipes twisted and curved like frozen music. Glass tubes bubbled with rainbow liquids, and dozens of dials and levers gleamed invitingly. Edison immediately circled it like a bee buzzing around a flower, muttering about gear ratios and thermal coefficients. "The Symphony of Sweets," Mr. Clayton explained, running his hand lovingly along a copper pipe that hummed in response. "It can produce any candy imaginable, but only when all its parts work in perfect harmony." Edison spent hours trying to operate the machine alone, his frustration growing with each failed attempt. The candy it produced under his solitary efforts came out wrong. Sour when it should be sweet, hard when it should be soft, shapes twisted and colors muddy. Finally, Penny stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper, as she suggested we all try together. The transformation was immediate and magical. Edison's technical knowledge guided the machine's operations. Victoria's refined palate adjusted the flavors. Penny's artistic eye directed the shapes and colors. And my understanding of what makes people smile helped infuse each piece with joy. The machine sang to life, its music filling the air as it created candies more wonderful than any of us could have imagined alone. Penny's challenge waited in a circular room lined with mirrors, each reflecting a different version of herself. Some showed her confident and successful, others broken and worthless. The conflicting images overwhelmed her, and she began to cry, her tears falling like dropped sugar crystals. I took her paint-stained hand in my calloused one. "Look," I said, leading her to a particular mirror that seemed to glow from within. "This is how we see you." In it, her reflection radiated with inner light, her creativity and kindness visible as a beautiful aurora around her. One by one, the other mirrors shifted to show the same truth, and Penny stood taller, finally seeing her worth reflected at her. Through each trial, Mr. Clayton watched with growing satisfaction, his eyes twinkling like sugar crystals in sunlight. Finally, he led us to a simple door made of warm, honey-colored wood that hummed with contentment. "Beyond this door lies the heart of the shop," he said, his voice rich with emotion. "Nora, you haven't faced a trial because you've been the trial for everyone else. Your compassion, your natural ability to see and nurture the best in others. These are the true magic that keeps this place alive." He opened the door to reveal a room that felt like every happy memory of home distilled into physical form. A plush armchair sat beside a fireplace that changed colors as it burned, from warm gold to soft blue to gentle purple. Ancient candy-making tools lined the walls, each one telling stories of generations of sweet dreams made real. A massive leather-bound book rested on a pedestal, its pages filled with recipes that looked more like poetry than instructions. "The shop needs a new guardian," Mr. Clayton said, his voice gentle but firm. "Someone with the right ingredients in their heart to keep its magic alive. Someone who understands that the sweetest wishes are the ones that help others." He turned to me, his eyes glowing with certainty. "It's chosen you, Nora." My heart soared and plummeted simultaneously. "But my family?" Mr. Clayton's eyes crinkled with joy. "Look." He waved his hand, and an image appeared in the color-changing flames. My mother and Emma entering a beautiful townhouse attached to the back of the shop. My mother's face glowed with wonder as she explored the fully stocked kitchen, her tired lines melting away. Emma's laughter rang like silver bells as she discovered her room filled with books, toys, and a window seat perfect for dreaming. "The shop takes care of its own," Mr. Clayton said softly. "Your wish was never just for yourself. That's why you're perfect for this role." The others received parting gifts that reflected their growth. Victoria, A single gold coin that would always find its way to those in need. Edison, a set of tools that only worked through collaboration. Penny, a paintbrush that showed her how others saw her art, its handle warm with encouragement. As Mr. Clayton prepared to leave, he placed his candy-making tools in my hands. They hummed with generations of magic and possibility, fitting my grip as if they'd been waiting for me all along. "Remember," he said, placing a weathered hand on my shoulder, "the secret ingredient is always love." The shop settled around me like a warm embrace as my new friends departed, each walking toward lives transformed by the night's magic. Through the window, I saw the storm had cleared completely. Stars twinkled in the velvet sky, looking exactly like scattered sugar crystals. I smiled, already imagining the wishes I could help come true. After all, everyone deserves a little magic in their life, especially those who think they've run out of sweet dreams to believe in. In the window display, a jar of golden peppermints caught the starlight, waiting for the next pure heart to find its way to my door.